On today's Locked On Bama, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Jimmy Stein will be with me here in just a second. We're going to talk about Jaheim Oatis's body transformation. He's obviously been eating his Built Bars. And we're also going to talk about Juwon Gary, another basketball player. We'll talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Bama.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey again, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, how are you today? Jimmy, how are you?
Good.
Today?
I'm just locked on White. I'm doing great. I'm locked on White Sox. But
say Locked On White Sox. All right, for those who don't know, we share a restream with I think the Locked On MLB and the Locked On White Sox people. But I do have it on the Locked On Bama thing for now. But I see you see Locked On White Sox. But whatever.
I see Locked On White Sox. Our fans see something different. But I see Locked On White Sox. And I think it's funny every time because I'm like, shit, I hope Luke doesn't ask me anything about the White Sox. I don't know.
If you see me asking you a professional baseball question, shoot that imposter. I'm telling you right now.
They got a dude named Carlos Rondon, I think, plays for the White Sox, and he's really good. That's about all I got.
I'm going to take your word for that. Jimmy,
hey, I got a good story. This is good. This is a local story too.
But
about
save
the White
it,
Sox.
Save it for the next segment. That's our segue. I'm learning how to do this. We gotta talk Bama stuff initially. That's what the people want. And I think what the people, I don't know if they want to hear this or not, but Juwon Gary is in the transfer portal. He was sort of a fan favorite. I'm sorry, I just took a shower not too long ago, and my hair, and I laid down like a moron, and now my hair won't get right. But
yeah.
And I'm making you do it too, and you didn't even take a shower.
I just drove with the window down. So right before we got on here, so I was dumb.
All right, Juwon Gary's in the transfer portal. I think some people are probably. I'm okay with this. Look, I like Juwon Gary. I've sung his praises on this very podcast. At the same time, he averaged about 6.5 points a game. He was not a great finisher. He was above average defensively. He was certainly not a good three-point shooter. And one of our loyal listeners was texting us and mentioned, hey, you know, what I hate about it is we may lose a locker room guy. And my point to that is, if we had a locker room guy last year, I'd like to know who the hell it was, because frankly, that was one of our biggest problems. So I'm really just about okay with a complete roster turnover. You know, I'm okay with anybody coming back. Anybody who wants to come back is good enough, in my opinion. They were, you know, maybe one or two guys probably need to transfer, like a Jaheim Holt. I'm taking no shots at him, but yeah, if you were telling me who was the player that we could most afford to lose, Jaheim Holt would probably be on my list. But you know, if you tell me that we're having 80% roster turnover, I'm okay with that too, because we needed a makeover. Disagree?
Maybe. Well, I'm not sure how to phrase it, because I don't want to make it sound like I think Juwon Gary was a fantastic player. That's not necessarily the case. I agree with you that Juwon Gary is replaceable. He wasn't uniquely gifted. Losing him is not the reason that that it might not go well next season. My concerns are more macro than micro. To me, the micro problem is we lost Juwon Gary. The macro problem is, why is everyone leaving? I mean, everyone is leaving. 3 players that played in games last year are coming back. 3, when all 13 had the eligibility to come back. I'm just saying, I don't know that there's a problem. I'm not telling people that there is a problem. I know some stuff that goes on. I hear rumors and I know stuff that goes on. I'm not telling people there's a problem or that, you know, Nate screwed things up, or it's the assistants or it's players. I'm not saying there's a problem. All I'm saying is it is fair. It's fair to worry that there's one, because I know there's a new normal. I know there's 1,000 kids in the portal. I know this is to some extent the new normal, and we need to get used to this. But on the surface, I don't like the math here. I don't like that 13 could have come back and 3 are, or 4 if you count Burnett.
That's fair. I think that's a
so.
fair
I don't like that. It's. I worry something's wrong, but I don't know that there is.
Okay, I think that's a fair argument. My counter to that is, if you are truly worried that something is wrong, then I'm even more okay with roster turnover, because here's my thought, that I'm going to choose to believe in the coaching staff right now. I'm choosing to do that. This is the same coaching staff that won the SEC last year, won the SEC tournament, made it to the Sweet 16, got bounced by a team that was hotter than a firecracker and shouldn't have been an 11 seed in UCLA. And I think outside of UCLA, that team probably could have made it to the Final Four, okay? And this is the same coaching staff that's bringing in, by some accounts, the number 3 recruiting class in the country. They're not done in the transfer portal. They're going to get some other dudes, maybe Mark Sears, maybe the kid from West Virginia, maybe some others. So I choose to believe in them. And I'm also choosing at the same time, not out of blind love for Alabama, but I'm choosing to believe, okay, yes, I agree with you. There was a problem this year. And I think that problem was complete lack of locker room leadership. And therefore, I have to surmise, okay, we probably need some new faces in there that can be leaders. And I'm hoping if a Mark Sears comes in, a guy that's had great success at Miami of Ohio, maybe he can bring some leadership. Maybe a year under the belt of Charles Bediako, he can be a lot better. I'm just choosing to believe turnover is good this time. If it happens again next year under these same circumstances, I'll be very concerned.
Yeah, I like choosing to be optimistic, and I'm, believe it or not, even with my little rant, I'm going to choose to be optimistic myself. By the time we put the 13-man roster together again, by the time we get Humpty Dumpty taped back together, I'm probably going to be cheerleading more than anyone else. That's just the way I roll, and the way I like to approach each season. Like, hey, this team could be good. But I worry that I think Nate's success has set an expectation level, and here's some trouble. Here's some more trouble ahead. I think Nate's success set an expectation level, and now next year's team is going to be all new guys, and it's tough to get brand new guys to have chemistry and play well together. I use as an extreme example the Miami Heat team that was built to win the NBA championship. They did it more than once, but the first year together, they didn't do well. And I think basketball, sometimes it takes some time.
Okay, I'm with you on that. My counterpoint to that would be, all you have to do is look at Auburn. They brought in a boatload of new dudes, won the SEC. Now, their new dudes were really talented. All you have to do is look at Kansas and North Carolina, both playing for national championships. Both had transfers that made major impacts in those games and impacts on their way to the title contest. So, Jimmy, I want to now talk about Athletic Greens. If you want better gut health, if you want more energy, optimized immune system, and if you hate taking pills and vitamins all the time that, you're not even 100% sure they work, if you want a supplement that actually tastes great, that's Athletic Greens. I'm telling you, I've taken it. It's delicious. It's nutritious. It's fantastic. I'm going to start taking it more because I really need to get on this weight loss thing right before summer. And I need more probiotics in my life. Athletic Green will help me with that. And if there's anybody who needs more probiotics, it's Daddy. So check out Athletic Greens. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/college. That's athleticgreens.com/college. athleticgreens.com/college to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Athletic Greens. All right, Jimmy. I want to talk about Jaheim Oatis, and maybe actually, why don't you tell us your story? Uh-oh, you're muted. You're muted this time. And you're muted even more. You got a phone call, didn't you? Nod your head if you got a phone call. You are completely muted. Okay. Jimmy is still muted. So here's what I'm going to do. Jimmy, you get out and come back in. Actually, you're in a terrible zone. So you get out and come back in. Here's what I want to do. Instead of going into the Jaheim Oatis talk, because I do want to talk about that with Jimmy, because he has made a major transformation in his life. He looks like a svelte human being. Jimmy may be back already. That would be an amazing turn of events. Jimmy, are you with us, son?
Yep. How about that? You get a phone call, you get knocked off this Locked On White Sox. I was no longer Locked On White Sox.
Okay, now you got to save your story because we got to get into this segment. But one thing I want to talk about, I want to save Jaheim Oatis for the last segment because I wanted your comments on this. However, Nick Saban did come out with a statement about Agiye Hall. He said, and I quote, "He is suspended from the team for violation of some team rules. Whether they're academic or whatever, it doesn't really matter," Saban said following practice number 10. "Everybody has a responsibility and an obligation to respect the principles and values and do what they need to do. They're all there to help them be more successful, so to respect those and to do those are always really helpful." He's had that opportunity to get back on the team once, so I don't know what his plans are for the future. Now, I went on a radio show today in Montgomery like I do every Wednesday, and I basically said I basically said Agiye Hall's got to be gone. I mean, he's got to be. It may be a shock to him that he's gone, but he's got to be. He's not on the roster. Saban went out of his way to say he's suspended. He went out of his way to say he's already had a chance once, and it didn't work out, apparently, and he's doing this again. I still think he's gone. I still think that's probably best that he's gone, and I'm still cheering for it. What say you?
I totally agree. Lock, stock, and barrel with you. I'll be shocked if Agiye Hall is on the team this fall, and I hope whatever he's got going on it works out for him. But you know, Coach Saban himself has used the example so many times of the blinking light on the tree. That the Christmas tree looks great, and there's 1,000 lights on it. It looks beautiful, and then what screws it up is one of the lights on the tree is blinking. One out of the 1,000. And what are you looking at when you're looking at the tree? The one blinking light. That's what you look at. And to me, Agiye is that blinking light, and the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
That's a lot of metaphors in one statement. I appreciate it.
I like that one, though. I've started using it about 6 months ago, and now I find myself using it all the time. I like it because it makes me sound like I'm a gambler, but I'm not.
Oh, I like that. You know, when I was on radio today, they were talking about me being in Vegas my being in Vegas last week. And they were talking, and I said, look, I came back with cash. And to me, I always win if I go gambling and I come back with cash. You know, if I go on a Vegas trip and I take $2,000 cash and I come back with $1,800, I feel like I won $1,800. I didn't. I actually lost $200. But see, I'd already written off that $2,000. So I feel like I won. And they were like, yeah, that's actually a good way to look at it. And I said, well, it's like the gambler's prayer. You know that, don't you, Jimmy?
The gambler's prayer?
Oh, Lord, let me break even. I need the money. You never heard that?
I don't think I know that. That's how little I know about gambling.
But that's the best. If you've ever gambled, and I've gambled a lot in my life, with a lot of things in my life. I only have 4 children now. I lost 2 of them in a dice game. But
boy, that hurts.
Well, they were 2 of my least liked children. I actually only have 4 kids. Everybody calm down.
Totally understandable.
But, oh, Lord, let me break even. I need the money. Jimmy, if I could have told you how many times I've literally said that before I actually had learned the saying, you'd go, oh, my God, that's crazy. All right, let's talk about BetOnline.net right now, and then I want to get into Jaheim Oatis and how good-looking he is. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including this week's Masters Championship odds, podcast, and reviews for all the different leagues this season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, eSports, and scores. Head to the website today, or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline is where the game starts. Jaheim Oatis, I thought he was a beautiful creature when we signed him. And now he's lost a little weight. I don't know exactly what he's come down to, but he actually posted a picture on his Twitter feed, and he's like fitting into his uniform. If he gets any skinnier, I'm going to set him up an OnlyFans page.
You are into some weird stuff. No wonder you got to. No wonder you got to wager with your children to fund whatever crazy stuff you got going on over there. Here's my thing about that is, obviously, this is what's really cool, and kudos to the wait staff, kudos to Amy Bragg, the nutritionist, and her staff. They've clearly reached Jaheim Oatis. They've clearly reached him and made this fun for him. It's really hard to lose all that weight and to work and change your diet completely and live a completely new lifestyle. It's hard to do that, and somehow they've done it and reached him, and he's clearly excited about it, and that's really awesome. I think now that he's probably seeing some results, not just on the scales but on the football field, that he can play longer, he has more stamina, he can move better, he can rush the passer to an extent now. I think he's going to get even more excited about this, and when we signed him, I said, I think somewhere inside there might be a great football player. And I never would have guessed he would get results this quickly. But defensive line room is crowded. It's deep. There's a lot of kids in there. He's going to have to jump over a lot of people to find playing time. There's 15 defensive linemen on scholarship. No,
that's a good point. And when we first signed him, I thought there may be several good defensive linemen in there. Frankly, he was a big dude.
He was over. It's not a secret. In the Alabama-Mississippi High School All-Star game, which is played about 3 weeks before he showed up at Alabama and enrolled in school, he was over 400 pounds.
That's amazing. I mean, it's that's way too much. I mean, that's Terrence Cody territory.
That's just 5 months ago.
Yeah. But, I mean, the good news about weighing 400 pounds is it's generally pretty easy to lose 20 pounds. The bad news is you can lose 20 pounds by flossing your teeth and nobody even noticed you lost it. So, but he looks good, Jimmy. He looks good in pads.
I heard from Roger Schultz, who very famously won or came in second or something on that weight loss TV show.
Yeah, he did.
That made Schultz famous. He said a trick to doing well on the show, this isn't a secret, a trick to doing well on the show is right before you go to the show and right before you report, you add on as much weight as possible. You eat as many cupcakes and wedding cakes and ice cream vats and drink as much, sugary Kool-Aid as you can and gain all that horrible weight in 2 to 3 weeks, because that weight comes off first and comes off easy and it wins you points on the show. Isn't that interesting?
That is, but I mean, I hope that wasn't Jaheim Oatis's way to go.
No, it just reminds me of the Schultz story. Friend of the show. I don't know that he listens, but let's call him friend of the show. He's a good dude. I know him.
Hey, if you're listening, Roger, how about retweeting and subscribing? We appreciate it. By the way, we're up over like 713 subscribers now, and I know that's not big when you.
Let's go ahead and count Schultz at 714.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's not a large number compared to like Dude Perfect or whatever. But
hey, instead of telling the White Sox Locked On White Sox story, I got a Roger Schultz story, and since we're obviously going to tweet at him and try to get him to listen to the show, I got a great Schultz story.
Okay.
So when he was in school at Alabama when I was in school, and I didn't know him then, but he was on the football team, and the local radio station ran like a little contest, win a date with Roger Schultz, because he's like really funny and had the personality for it. So like the local radio station had a win a date with Roger Schultz contest, and he would be on the radio. And girls would call in and make their pitch. And one girl really interested him to the point he asked her, "Hey, you wouldn't happen to have a bass boat, would you?" And I don't know, that made me laugh really hard in about 1989 or 1990. And I'm laughing just as hard now. He was really interested. If that girl had a bass boat, I think he'd have married her that day.
Oh, God, that's funny. I don't know. I do have some former player stories. We're going to save them because I know you got to go. By the way, one of our listeners responded on the comment section of the YouTube page that they are 98% sure you're homeless because you always do this from your car.
Some days I choose to do it from the car. Some days I do. Today I had a ton of stuff to do, and I was in West Mobile, and Luke wanted to do the show, and then I'd have to get all the way home, and I stopped halfway. I'm doing this from the world famous original Oyster House on the Causeway, which is halfway between Mobile and my home. But no, I stopped because I didn't want to make Luke wait any longer. That's the reason. But every day there'd be like a different excuse. But I'm also on the go a lot. So that's a part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. I'm in Bowling Green tonight, so top that. I was in Indianapolis last night, Bowling Green tonight. I'll be in Birmingham or Ellick City when I do this tomorrow. Who knows?
I was out at QB Country, which should surprise no one. It's my name on Twitter. I was out at QB Country in West Mobile at a meeting, 2 meetings actually, and they ran late, and I didn't want to make Luke wait any longer. So I'm like, Causeway looks good. So I pulled into the original Oyster House where I'm doing the show, but I'm not going to eat, although it's delicious food.
Well, that's a good pitch for them to become a sponsor. We got 2 people to tweet at. All right, buddy, that's going to do it for today's episode. We'll get together tomorrow. Maybe we'll be a little more stationary. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide. Thanks, Roger.